Hey everybody, and welcome to another edition of A Chapter a Day Keeps the Doctor Away. My name is Alan, otherwise known as Hisui, and I'm from ReverseThieves.com as well as the Speakeasy podcast. And this time I'm looking at a certain scientific accelerator second chapter. And so, Accelerator catches up to Estelle, our previously mysterious necromancer from the last chapter, and basically pins her down with his vector power and, does his anti hero thing of like, do you think I was here to save you? Wahaha. And she basically is like, alright, I know there's really like no reasoning with you, so just realize that Last Order is in danger and stop the people that are targeting her because, that's my one mission. And I think it's pretty easy to tell, especially with stuff that happens later in the chapter, that it seems that these rogue anti-skill guys in DA got basically their scientific know-how combined with Estelle's necromancy and are using dead psionics to power these robots they make, and basically the psionics of the girls is being boosted by the necromancy, and so their corpses seem to be even powered up more than they would have been in real life by what is later referred to as evil spirits. So obviously they're using, the darker part of necromancy to, if you can wrap your head around that one, and powering up these girls to at least around level 5, because, if they powered them up to level 6, a lot of rules of the pretty much the index universe would be going crazy. So they can't do that, but they can power these girls up to basically level 5, or at least their corpses up to level 5, and then have their mecha channel that. So Accelerator's like, yeah, you didn't plead for your life. You actually were concerned about your mission. I kind of admire that. I'll let you go. Plus, really, I'm really a softie. I'm just like a anti-hero now, not like a villainous guy. So, whatever. I made my point and looked all dark and brooding and like on the edge. So I can let you go now. But as she's about to kind of reveal some more details, Last Order comes in and they basically have a conversation through the door. And we kind of get a little cute scene of Accelerator being like, shut up. And Estelle kind of having one of her... She's interesting, and then she kind of has this weird gloomy look to her. And so it makes her cute scenes still kind of cute, but kind of weird. Sort of like the fish-eyed girl from Railgun, who just, like, at points is kind of supposed to be vaguely cute. And they definitely super cute her up in the anime, but in, like, the manga, she really does have weird looking eyes that kind of throw everything off. And Estelle isn't anywhere as bad as that woman, but she does kind of, once again, have that weird, I dabble with the spells of the dead look to her. So every once in a while, when she does cute things, it is kind of a weird, sweet and sour mix. But basically, Accelerator reassures her everything's okay, and she goes back to sleep. And once again, Estelle's gonna lay out the whole thing, and she's like, Accelerator's like, I don't care. really. I'm sure you have some kind of great backstory about how you got involved in this organization, what went wrong, why you're betraying them. I don't care. It's just show me where their base is. I'll murk everyone. Basically, vector, vector, vector. Dead, dead, dead. And then, you know, you'll go and do whatever you do, and I'll go home and not care about this anymore. So let's just cut to the chase. And she mentions, well, the problem is DAs all over the place. And really, I only know like 1 or 2 DA bases. So he's like, then take me there. I'll just kill enough things there that they'll have to start taking me seriously. So we see the hardly named DA agent from the last time, who's obviously mad messed up, and whose superiors are like, all right, you took on Accelerator like a jackass. Like when we told you you couldn't. Now you're like, the hardware you gave me is ineffective. No, it's super effective. It's just not Accelerator effective. That's what we told you not to face him, dumbass. And, well, at least you got the girl. Oh, she got away. Yeah. I don't think you're going to remain on the pension. Huh? If you get what I'm saying. And he starts freaking out. And then they warp in the new model. And we don't see any more of him. So then when Accelerator and Estelle get there, and Accelerator's like, doors? I'm not going to walk all the way around to the front entrance, which might be like trapped or something. I'm just going to make a hole right here in the wall. Walls are rarely trapped. And so, boom, knocks in a hole, and they see our previously terminated DA agent all over the warehouse. And it's like, well, don't have to worry about interrogating that guy. And they whip out their new Big Mech. And something I forgot to mention. Apparently we see a bunch of other scientist-y type guys in shadow. Who are, obviously the DA higher-ups. Because, there still is a certain scientific railgun, so we have to have a bunch of science bad guys. As I always mention on this little thing, I still like the thing of, if guys are in shadow like that, that probably means that their character designs aren't finalized. And so, since we only see one of them, it's like, alright, this guy's character design is finalized. And the other ones, yeah, we'll hopefully stick to what those look like. And if we totally radically change what somebody looks like, hopefully too many people won't post on forums and be like, look man, that guy's profile is totally different when we actually see him. But we have a little conversation with one of the DA scientists. And apparently this project is eventually going to be a Accelerator killer. But for right now, he's like, it's just not far enough along. And we get a little bit of quips about terms and people from Estelle and this guy, but, it's kind of that, ooh, what's that mean? Ooh, dark spirits. Ooh, what's that all about? But once again, Accelerator ain't gonna ask. And these people aren't gonna explain, nobody monologues about, dark spirits. You mean when blah 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 blah. So we have to be left wondering what all this is being bantered about. But it seems like once again they've gathered a lot of evidence on what Accelerator can do, since they know he's Last Order's guardian. And so essentially their pyrokinetic doesn't actually have to beat Accelerator's thing, his vectors. All they have to do is constantly stay away from him long enough to counter it, or at least at this point. So basically use telekinesis enough to counter his vectors, because if he's touching something, it's toast. But if he's using vectors at a distance, they can basically play like Dime Store Toma. And so they can't, at this point, directly affect him, but they can do enough to block him, and you see the thing get away. And you see Accelerator being a little like, not like, man, they beat me. More like, great. This is gonna go on longer, because they just had the right skill set to not win but not lose. Oh, all right, whatever. And apparently, the name of the person in the suit is somebody that Estelle would recognize. But if they're a little setback there, Last Order has food for all of them and is introduced to Estelle, who passes herself off as a classmate of Accelerator. And unfortunately, Last Order just plays that off. All right, whatever. I don't know. Wheeze! I had snacks. But wait a minute. What's up with you two? Which, leads to a little jealous food throwing. And once again, kind of the few signs that Accelerator kind of is a softie, when you can just tell Estelle's like, oh god, I've seen this dude. He's so gonna break this little girl into 1,000. Oh, he seems to play it off pretty well. And basically, Last Order's like, yeah, I kind of threw my food at you. I don't want any more. Let's go to a family restaurant. And he's like, alright, I'm gonna be a big softie, but pretend I'm a brooding anti-hero. Alright, let's go. And Estelle's like, oh, I see. You're pretending to be a brooding anti-hero, but you're really kind of a softie when it comes to her. Alright, I'm not gonna say that out loud, because, I still don't have, that kind of affectionate immunity to being splattered all over the place. But she does, so. Once again, learning that the author of a certain magical index is listed as the writer on this manga does make me think that Estelle is going to be, unless she horribly dies, or I have to go back to my country and never see you again up until some later point in New Testament. Yeah, unless they totally, I have to go to Mars. I do wonder when this girl is going to be popping up in the light novel series. Because the whole interesting thing I always find about, the spin-offs like Railgun is they've been introducing characters at earlier places in time. It's always interesting to see when they pop back in the main storyline. Like in the Index movie, they Stigl have those 3 apprentices who are basically like the other 3 elements. And I'm kind of curious when those 3 are going to pop back into a certain magical index, New Testament, or Railgun. I mean, probably not Railgun, because they're magic characters and they don't usually ever appear in Railgun, but yeah, they definitely, and probably not an Accelerator. This seems like a short thing, but, and once again, I don't think Estelle would pop back up in Railgun, but definitely a character could pop back up in Index. Although I can't really see her being a romantic interest. So in a way that's kind of interesting, Usually these characters kind of have, unless she just has like an unrequited love for Accelerator. Because as creepy as it is, I definitely think they're trying to set him up with Masaka Worst. But we'll see. I mean, I haven't read those novels, and any of that kind of stuff hasn't been animated yet. So that's just my speculation from what little I've seen of it. I mean, they could have a totally like bros for life platonic relationship at this point, and but I'm getting a feeling they're kind of going for that a little bit. Yeah, I killed a few hundred of clones of you, but hey, what you doing, Masaka Worst? Second production line of clones. But I mean, if anybody has ever read the later New Testament books, I'm kind of curious what that thing is. So, um, yeah, unless they're going for an unrequited love, I don't think Estelle's going to be that much of a big romantic partner. But that might be for the best, just having her be kind of his science, her being the magic sidekick to his science. But we haven't really seen her do much spell casting, so I am kind of curious what her magic is like. I mean, obviously, if she was involved in the DA project and her necromancy led to kind of the creepier parts of this thing, then she obviously at least has some decent understanding of her magic. So I'll be kind of curious to see what happens when she starts whipping out the spells. And it'll also be kind of interesting to see what she adds to the team because Accelerator is so crazy overpowered that like it would be very easy to just make her, basically sidekick arm candy, you know. So I'm kind of curious how much like Superman can't deal with magic in DC Comics, how much like Accelerator. But I mean, he's been in later index books. I mean, he fought in World War III, which had a lot of mages in it, so he can't be like totally magic. I don't know or maybe he does. I don't know. Once again, I haven't read those, but I'm curious how much she's going to be doing things that essentially Accelerator can't, or if she's just going to be, and I'm here too. But we'll see that whenever the next chapter of Accelerator comes out. All right. See you guys then.